All right, I'd like to call to order the Planning and Zoning Board meeting. The day is June 16th, 2025, and the time is 5:02 p.m. Can I get the roll call, please?
Judy Malika.
Here.
Mitch Katz.
Here.
Deirdre Strong.
Here.
Christina Godbout.
Here.
Okay.
Got her.
Chris Brown.
Here.
Jeffrey Meiselman.
Here.
Gregory Snyder is absent.
Was there any changes that needed to be made to the agenda?
No changes.
Motion approved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, hearing none. So today we're doing the election of officers because we currently do not have a vice chair. So that's why I started the meeting. This isn't the norm, just so you know, Christina. So really, we just need a discussion on who would like to be a vice chair, and then I would like to hear like a motion to appoint so-and-so as the chair, and then we'll do a roll call, and then we'll see if they get it or not, and then we'll just move on from there. And then, just so you know, whoever is vice chair will be conducting the meeting today.
I'll nominate Mitch Katz.
I'd like to nominate Judy Malika.
Like, I'll second Judy.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that we were doing. Okay.
Yeah, okay, that wasn't exactly how I said it, but I liked it, we have two. So I guess what we'll do is we'll do a motion to appoint Mitch, and then motion to nominate Judy, and then just vote from there. So let's start with motion to nominate Mitch. Can you, well, we didn't get a second. So we have the motion.
We have a second.
Did we get a second?
Yes, from Ms. Godbout.
That was
Judy.
for
Oh,
Judy.
That was for Judy, okay.
Yeah, so let's at least start with Ms. Malika's. So we have a motion, a second, and then can we do the roll call?
Who did the second? Judy?
I did.
Okay. That's who I had. Judy Malika.
Yes.
Mitch Katz.
Sure.
Deirdre Strong.
Yes.
Christina Godbout.
Yes.
Chris Brown.
Yes.
Jeffrey Meiselman.
Yes.
Gregory Snyder absent.
So we have a vice chair, Judy. So you can move over to the chair seat, and
Okay.
Thank you.
Zach, you can move over.
I don't have
I'm
a
just
bracket.
kidding. I call you Zach. I knew you.
I have no problems with that at all.
He was a great man.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
I'll turn to Mitch.
Yeah.
Okay, we've already been called to order, we got that. There's no changes to the agenda, okay. I'd like to seek approval of minutes, if there's a motion.
I think we did that already.
Are there any
Oh,
changes?
we did the agenda.
Pardon me?
Are there?
Yeah. Motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, anyone from the public that would like to speak for quasi or non-quasi judicial will be sworn in by the clerk.
Do you want to do it or no? Please raise your right hand by the authority vested in me, the notary of the state of Florida. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Okay, any comments from the public not related to items on the agenda? Speakers will be limited to 3 minutes. Okay, seeing none, let's move on. To item A, right? Quasi-judicial hearing.
And you
Am
have
I
the
supposed
rules
to
in
read
front of you?
something? Where is it? All these?
The two
Wow.
paragraphs, yeah.
Okay. This hearing shall be conducted in accordance with the City of Delray Beach quasi-judicial rules. The applicant and the city shall be permitted to present their case. The public shall be allowed to speak for 3 minutes each or a maximum of 6 minutes if the person represents an organization or group of people who are present but agree not to speak. The City Commission board members, staff, and the applicant may be allowed to cross-examine a witness. The city or the applicant will be allowed to offer rebuttal or testimony. The decision to approve or deny an application or appeal may not legally be made upon personal wishes as to whether a project is a good project or not, or may a decision be based on the number of citizens who support or oppose a particular project. The law requires that all decisions must be made on the basis of whether the project meets the requirements of law, the comprehensive plan, and the land development regulations. Okay, so now we will move on to item A. And presentations?
Ex parte. No?
Oh, true, thank you. Did anybody have ex parte?
Definitely did a drive-by. I've done probably thousands of drive-bys of that site. And I did see some of the applicants, part of the applicants, last week at Sonny's funeral, but we don't think did not speak about the project at all.
Nope, just drove by.
Okay.
Nothing.
No ex parte? Okay. And none here?
None.
Could you enter the project file into the record?
Yes, thank you. Good evening, board members. Alexia Howell, Senior Planner. For the record, I'd like to enter file number 2023-196 for a level 4 site plan for the Maxwell project, and the applicant is here today to present.
Good afternoon, board members. My name is John Kinsman from the AP Group, representing the project, the Maxwell. We were here last year, in August of last year, in front of you guys for some waivers from recommendations for the commission. We went through to commission later on that year, and the commission did pass all the waivers that were up for discussion. We're looking for today for your recommendation, hopefully, to approve the project. It moves forward as a site plan for approval to go to City Commission. So we have the Maxwell. I guess you guys are all possibly all familiar with it, 306 Northeast 2nd Street. It's basically a property of just under 1 acre, basically bifurcated by Northeast 2nd Street, the south parcel and the north parcel. We're going to plan to build on the south parcel, and all of the parking is going to be on the north parcel. This is the property as it is right now, the view from the north. And this, we have the north view, the parking lot view, and the northeast view. This is the site plan. We're proposing 23 residential units, 2,600 and change of retail space, and 878 square feet of civic space. The rooftop will have a deck with a pool and a gym and a dog walking section. A mixture of 1 to 3 bedroom units, 3 retail spaces, and the parking lot will be gated after hours, so normal regular business hours. During the daytime it will be open. This is the project in context to the other buildings in the area. And then this is, I'm going to hand over to Peggy, architect. She's going to run you through some of the art deco features of the building.
Good evening, Peggy Fitzgerald, Net Architects. I'm sure you're getting to know me by now. So as John was mentioning, last year this board recommended the approval of the Art Deco style for this development. So just a quick review of the characteristics of the style. A flat roof concealed with ornamental parapets, smooth stucco finish with neutral colors and pastels, integrated signage, cantilevered eyebrows, simple geometric stucco reliefs, horizontal streamlined metal ornamentation, recessed windows and doors, and has all buildings the tripartite composition with the base, middle, and top. So after we gained approval for the Art Deco style, we did work with staff to address some of their concerns and some of this board as well as City Commission's concerns about the form of the building and the expression of some of the Art Deco features. So we're just going to show a couple slides to show you how we elevated this design. Here illustrates that the building is now completely white, with the pastels that are being used to accentuate the eyebrows and the accent striping in the building. This is a detail of the corner at Railroad Street where we incorporated the, I'm sorry, I want to go back 1 second. So one of the revisions was to add color to that curvilinear design on the solid piece of wall. So we also incorporated that, brought that around the design, and on the left you can see we originally had some metal detailing that was taken off the design completely, and so the smooth stucco with the accents wraps all the way around to the 4th Avenue elevation as well. Again, you can see the building is all white and with the green eliminated from the top, and the accents which are added to the eyebrows and the detailing around the striping of the building. Here you can see a little clearer that. So the building entry was redesigned to incorporate a lot more curvilinear elements. You can see on the left, does this ever work? Here, where they're much more rectilinear, and then here, now they actually curve around and around the side of the building to really accentuate the curvilinear nature of the design. This is the full elevation of, is that 2nd Street or 4th?
Yeah.
Yes, 2nd Street, sorry. And this is the full elevation on Railroad Street. So you can see the whole composition. And then a few where you can just see the whole volume and shape of the building. This is from the civic space side, and then the Railroad Street and 4th Avenue side. So as you can see, we believe this elevated building design and site design will really be a positive addition to Delray Beach and this neighborhood. And that's all for me. I'm turning it back to John.
Thank you, Peggy. Also, we are asking as part of for you guys to hopefully recommend, we're asking for the board approval for our request to use Railroad Street as our loading and unloading zone or drop-off area, rather than the LDRs, which states we have to provide 2 off-street berths for loading and unloading. We're proposing using Railroad Street. We are going to have our condo docks written specifically to have strict loading and unloading times. We're aware the garbage picks up on Mondays and Thursdays, so there'll be no loading and unloading at those times on Railroad Street. The building is also all condominiums for sale, so there won't be like a lot of turnovers in terms of people moving in, moving out at regular times. We'll be pretty strict on that as per the condo docs. The retail units up front on Northeast 2nd Street will be non-food retail units, so there won't be like your Cisco truck pulling up and trying to deliver and sort of basically on a daily, every 3 or 4 days basis and blocking the whole place. And then we're going to mandate Amazon, UPS, FedEx, small deliveries to either utilize the northern parking lot in the non-reserved spaces. So you have to cross Northeast 2nd because all the packages will have to go through the lobby anyway, because it's going to be a manned lobby throughout the business day, throughout business hours. So we're going to receive all packages in the lobby, or they can use the spaces, the parallel spaces on the Northeast 2nd Street if they're not in use at the time. So basically, just to kind of put in what I've just said onto the screen, and we asked our engineering department to basically come up with like an infographic to show what it would like if there was like a 30-foot truck, or actually a 26-foot truck, which is your standard moving truck, which was basically using Railroad Street to load and unload. So you can see from let's just see, you hold down, is it this one? Where's the one, which is the one you hold down for the, oops. see. All right, there we go. So that's actually like the engineer's depiction of like a 26-foot truck. It's also shown here as well. So you can see just to the south is Ocean City Lofts. That's their entrance to their parking garage. We're not interfering with that. Basically, there's plenty of room for cars to pass. That would be a 30-foot truck. This is with a like 18-wheeler, which we don't think they're going to be getting many 18-wheelers down there anyway. But I'll show you on there. That's an 18-wheeler, but even so, the 18-wheeler fits as well. That's a big truck, 53 feet long by about 8 feet wide. So again, plenty of room. And this is kind of from the west, looking west down to Railroad Street. And again, as you can see, we don't think it's going to interfere with like the flow of traffic. There's a very minimal traffic down that street alley anyway. And like I say, we would make sure that the deliveries were basically at strict times, so they wouldn't interfere with any other users or minimal interference with other users. That is the unloading loading. We also are requesting a waiver for a landscape buffer reduction on the north parking lot, basically going from the 5 feet required down to 4'3", 2'3", and 1.4 and 0 feet in specific areas down that 480-foot length. We are constrained by the limited width of the parking lot. It's only 50 feet wide, so we're working with a pretty narrow piece of land. It's right now it's actually a parking lot, as you guys are probably aware, so there is a buffer on there. The buffer along the tracks will give it continuous landscaping, and you'll maintain kind of a nice cohesive, aesthetically pleasing look. Also, again, as you're aware, it doesn't basically, it's not shielding any residential or commercial or industrial properties. It's pretty much 100-foot right of way, which is the railway tracks, and we believe it upholds the intention of the regulation. This is the proposed landscaping plan. If you don't have any questions, then Chris is here as well. Chris is our landscape guy from the design studio, and that's about it. So, you guys have any questions?
Does anyone have any questions?
No, go to staff.
Go to staff next.
All right, thank you. Good evening, board members. Alexia Howell again, senior planner. So the address is 306 Northeast 2nd Street, and this is for a level 4 site plan application, architectural elevations, and a landscape plan with relief request, and this is for recommendation to City Commission. So the address is, so this is within the downtown core, and it's proposed to be a 23-unit residential with ground floor retail. The subject property is 0.856 acres, comprising of 2 lots bisected by Northeast 2nd Street. This southern lot is south of Northeast 2nd Street, is developed with a 2-story commercial building, and the northern lot is a surface parking lot zoned CBD railroad corridor. And the maximum dwelling unit allowed is 30 dwelling units per acre, and the proposed amount is 23 units at 27 dwelling units per acre with a FAR of 1.0. So the subject property is positioned within a fully urbanized context fronting Northeast 2nd Street and Northeast 4th Avenue, both primary streets. To the south is the site is bounded by Railroad Street, while the western edge is bounded by the FEC Railway. This configuration results in a compact downtown parcel with 3 street frontages and a retail railroad corridor. So Northeast 2nd Street is a collector street, and that runs east and west, and it connects local roads to arterial roads, facilitating traffic flow, while Northeast 4th Avenue is a local street, typically providing direct access to properties. They both function as a high visibility frontage, while Railroad Street is a lower profile rear access road, but nonetheless it serves as a critical role in the site's circulation. Based on observations on site, Railroad Street is utilized for access to the parking garage for Ocean City Lofts, which is to the south, and rear parking as well as garbage pickup. And so to the right, we have an image of the Central Core Regulating Plan. As mentioned, the site is located at the corner fronting two primary streets. The Central Core Subdistrict regulations are intended to result in a development that preserves the downtown's historic moderate scale while promoting a balanced mix of uses that will help the area evolve into a traditional self-sufficient downtown. So residential development is permitted at a density that fosters compact pedestrian-oriented growth that will support the downtown businesses. So the CBD code outlines those requirements to achieve the vision through design. And one aspect of the design is streetscape. Certain streets are classified as primary streets to be developed as a superior pedestrian environment and held to a higher standard in regards to building placement, the building frontage, as well as location of parking and service uses. Essentially, we are talking about a quality urban design that is not seen as isolated to its street, but as part of the whole city. So the building is connected to its street, and the street is connected to the neighborhood. So how we achieve that is through active uses at the ground level, frontage standards that define architecture and design components for the entrances to the building and interface with the streetscape design. Primary streets shall have retail component with a 15-foot wide streetscape, shade trees, and wide sidewalks. At corner lots such as this project, the building facade defines the corner and includes a civic open space to create a focal point, a gathering space, as well as soften the hardscape. On streets not designated as primary streets, such as Railroad Street, are considered secondary streets, which accommodate service functions like a vehicle access, parking, and loading. And so the proposal is for a 4-story mixed-use Art Deco style building that includes 23 dwelling units and retail. On the first story is a 2,651 square feet retail with a civic open space at the corner and 5 loft dwelling units with stoop frontage access to Railroad Street. And here's a rendering of that corner, the southeast corner intersecting Northeast 4th Avenue and Railroad Streets, and those are the stoop frontages that you see on the south elevation. And so the upper stories include 18 dwelling units, and it's a mix of 1 to 3 bedrooms. And there's also rooftop amenity that includes pool, a gym, and a meeting room, as well as a dog walking area. The proposal also includes 2 requests for relief. The first relief is a landscape waiver to the landscape barrier to section 4616. It's a requirement 5-foot landscape barrier, as well as a determination of adequacy for loading. The parking for the development is provided through the 47 off-street parking spaces to the linear parking lot across the street and 3 new on-street parking spaces. And so back in October 1st of 2024, the City Commission approved the utilization of the Art Deco style as well as 3 waivers, which include the streetscape reduction, a front setback reduction, as well as a civic open space reduction. And I will get into that further into the presentation. And so for context, here are photos of adjacent properties. To the north, we have the 1-story commercial building, and further north to the east is the Hampton Inn. On the east and the south are the Ocean City Lofts residential development, and to the west is the Railroad Corridor. Here's a rendering of the proposed building at the intersection of Northeast 2nd Street and Northeast 4th Avenue. Northeast 2nd Street includes a retail store frontage with arcade, with a covered arcade and a residential lobby. And the corner is anchored by a public civic open space, which functions as the visual focal point and the neighborhood amenity. And this is a nighttime view, and there's a daytime view as well. And here is at the corner of Railroad Street and Northeast 4th Avenue. This is the south and the east elevation. So here we have an overall site plan. The mixed-use building is the development to the south of Northeast 2nd Street, and the linear parking is just north of that. They are accommodating new crosswalks between the linear parking lot and the new development across Northeast 2nd Street. As you can see, it's connecting to the civic open space at the corner. Here we have the site plan for the mixed-use building. The black dashed line represents the new property line after the required corner clips dedications. The colors along the footprint of the building reflect the streetscape design as well as the location of the civic open space. As you can see, the 4-foot curb zone in red with shade trees and grates along Northeast 4th Avenue. And along Railroad Street in the red, we have the landscape buffer that's required with shade trees. And on Northeast 2nd Street, within the curb zone, we have the arcade within that curb zone. And there's a 6-foot pedestrian clear zone highlighted in yellow all throughout the development. However, the remaining setback area in blue is reduced along Railroad Street. As the applicant proposed this development, the proposal for the south elevation included the stoop frontages. With a stoop frontage, although Railroad Street is not a primary street, it's not required to have a frontage type. However, the applicant designed the building to have some type of frontage, some active street level. And so with that, the requirement of a 15-foot streetscape design was required. However, they didn't accommodate that into the design and would like to reduce the remaining setback from 5 feet to 1 foot 2 inches. And so in October 1st, 2024, City Commission approved that waiver request to reduce the streetscape to accommodate the stoop frontages. And as well with that is with the corner clip dedication at the southeast corner, from that new property line, a 10-foot setback is required. However, the request for reduction to the front corner setback was also requested at the October 1st and approved. And so what you see here is the development approved with a reduced streetscape along Railroad Street. And with the dedication as well as the northeast corner, you can see that the civic open space is included into that corner clip, and so that portion cannot be allocated towards meeting the minimum requirement for civic open space, and so that also was approved on October 1st to reduce the civic open space requirement. And as part of the request, the applicant is requesting to utilize Railroad Street as loading. Right now, the site is fully compact. There's no access to the site for vehicles, only pedestrian, and so typically off-street loading is to be accommodated on site, and the request is to utilize Railroad Street to accommodate that. And so the development is programmed to dispose waste through the trash room, which is located on the southwest corner of the building. Staff has some concerns with the internal connection between the commercial bays, which are facing Northeast 2nd Street, and the trash room to accommodate internal connection, as well as accommodate a loading through the trash room for the residential units in commercial bay. And so here we have the determination of adequacy. The proposal requires at least 2 loading spaces at 12 by 30 feet on the site per LDR section 4610. The body approving the site plan associated with the proposed development shall determine the adequacy of the provisions which are made for unloading. In making such a determination, the standards and guidelines of the section shall be considered. The final determination may result in accommodations in excess of or in less than such guidelines or in the waiving of any such accommodations. In circumstances where these guidelines are not applicable or appropriate, the applicant may provide a loading demand statement in which the normal demands for loading are set forth along with any restrictions that which may be appropriate. And so the guidelines, the code is referring to is the location as well as the size of the loading bay and the amount. So the guidelines require for this size development to have 2 spaces at 12 by 30 with a 14-foot clearance, as well as to be accommodated on site. And so the request is to accommodate 0 loading spaces on site and to utilize the railroad street for loading purposes. And to just bring more context into the request, here is a boots on the ground snapshot of the subject property. Here we are looking at the subject property at the intersection of Railroad Street and Northeast 4th Avenue. Here we're looking west down Railroad Street. As you can see, Ocean City Lofts is just adjacent to the left there, and you can see the entrance to the garage. Just further north is the subject property, the existing commercial building to the right, and based on staff observations, that's where the dumpsters are for both existing developments. The residential for Ocean City Lofts, there's some recycling bins you can see in yellow. There's also a dumpster there, so that's how the back of the house is accommodated for this residential site. Here we have view of the Railroad Street around the bend, and this is looking south of Railroad Street. To the left we have Ocean City Lofts. Again, that's accommodating rear parking access for the residents. And so with that considered, the board shall consider if Railroad Street should function as a service street. They should consider if there's any anticipated adverse effects to the adjacent development, as well as could this negatively impact the pedestrian experience, considering their stoop frontage proposed along Railroad Street. So overall, we have the overall project meets the land use and concurrency. However, the proposed development aligns with the applicable goals and objectives of policies. However, under policy 1.1.7, acknowledges the actual achievable density on a given site may be limited by other regulatory standards set forth in the land development regulations, including requirements for setback, open space, height, landscaping, parking. In this case, the proposed development includes 23 residential units on a 0.856 acre, resulting in a density of approximately 27 units per acre, which is below the permitted maximum. However, due to the physical constraints by its urban context, bounded by all 4 sides, Northeast 2nd Street, which is a primary street, Northeast 4th, as well as a primary street, and Railroad Street, and the FEC Railroad Corridor, these conditions combined with the project's need to accommodate multiple access points, landscaping, functional frontage types, and to make a full utilization of the maximum allowed density and deems impractical and seeks to maintain the contextual compatibility of the surrounding area. In regards to compliance with the LDR, the overall project meets the land development regulations, except for the landscape waiver and the loading demand. Here we go into the architectural standards for the Art Deco style. Here we have the 2 renderings below with examples of an Art Deco style above. So as you can see, it's the typical rounded features with the cantilevered eyebrows and the ornamental patterns of vertical and horizontal. So here we get into the elevations. The colors consist of a pastel colors of light blues and a dominant white palette. As you can see on the north elevation, there is on the left side is one of the lobby entrance. There's an integrated vertical signage with a medallion just below, and throughout across the composition of the building are ribbon windows and rounded corners with cantilevered eyebrows. And that is, the design is throughout the elevations. On the south elevation, the east elevation, you can see that continuation happening, and really executed the Art Deco style beautifully. And here is a comparison of the first submittal. We had a masonry modern style with working with the applicant. We really achieved going through the Art Deco style and really executing that beautifully, and we really enjoy seeing the final product. Here we go into the landscape plan. The overall landscape plan exceeds the landscape requirements. There are bridal veils and gumbo limbo trees for street shade trees, as well as there's an Amstel King tree that is proposed within the civic open space to provide lots of lush landscaping. Here we are into the landscape waiver. So on the west side of the linear parking lot requires a 5-foot landscape buffer. With the site constraints and the parking requirements, the applicant is requesting a reduction to the 5-foot landscape buffer. So a portion of the spaces have ADA parking signs in them. And part of the requirement is to be free of vehicle encroachments or any type of encroachment to be considered the full 5-foot landscape buffer. So predominantly the landscape strip is occupied with signage, or it's a vehicle overhang. And so because of those elements, the landscape buffer is reduced between 0 feet because of a EV charging station, which is highlighted in the area under 0, and then the 2.3 is where the typical standard 18 by 9 vehicle, the overhang goes into that strip, so it reduces to 2.3, and then the 4.3 area is where there's an actual compact space, so it doesn't encroach as much because it's the compact space is smaller. So they have tried to realign the parking lot to accommodate more open space. However, because of the physical constraints, they are requesting a waiver. And so prior to granting a waiver, the body shall make the positive findings A through E, and essentially the waiver shall not affect the neighboring area or create an unsafe situation or diminish public facilities, as well as not grant a special privilege or decrease the pedestrian experience or create any incompatibilities, as well as or erode any connectivity to the street or sidewalk network. In addition to the requests, the applicant is foreseen to close some roads to accommodate the construction of the building for about 2 months, and the applicant can discuss more about that if they wish, but there is a requirement that the board shall consider this as part of the approval when moving forward with the level 4. Because the road closures are more than 14 days, the request should be recommended.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I just want to clarify this for the records. Rafi Ibrahim, the principal current planning. More than 2 weeks requires city commission approval. We just want to bring this issue to the board today so that you are aware it's part of the proposal. This will need an approval from the city commission as after the findings and the action you make today as the project move forward. So this will be in front of the city commission.
And so just to highlight a few things, on August 17, 2023, the DSMG did approve a right-of-way right-of-way reduction along Railroad Street. It's required a total of 15 feet. It's existing at 25. And so a 12.5 foot dedication was required. However, at the meeting, the city confirmed that a dedication is not required, just the way the street functions and the allocation for additional right-of-ways, considering the residential of Ocean City Lofts has not dedicated, there would be no purpose to have the adjacent property to dedicate additional right-of-way. So therefore, the right-of-way reduction was approved by DSMG to keep the current right-of-way width at 25 feet versus the 50 feet. And in the July 10th of 2024, DDA recommendation approval, and CRA received a memo, and here are the board options, and that concludes my presentation.
Thank you. Are there any public comments? Okay, any rebuttal?
Yes, please. Basically, on the MOT, the maintenance of traffic plan, the 2 months, we're not going to be closing roads for 2 months. I mean, it's basically, we have our plan, and basically that's the period of time where there's going to be some road works, but in general, they're going to be paving or repaving Northeast 2nd in the area where our building is. It's not going to take 2 months. It's going to be like 3 or 4 days. Maybe one lane's closed for a couple of hours, and then they're going to grade the other side. So the 2 months that it says there, that's going to be the time period when it may or may not start. It's not 2 months. So, I mean, engineering, yeah?
Yeah, I want to talk to you a little bit about Railroad Street. My name's Carter Van Voris. I'm with VAP Group.
I'm sorry, could you repeat your name?
Carter Van Voris.
Thank you.
You need to understand, when you look at Railroad Street right now and where the building is, it's going to be pushed back substantially further than where it is. So we do have full width there. The other thing is we do have a very long parking lot on the north side. So if we were having concentrated deliveries, of course, we would attempt to accommodate them in that parking lot. There is a 24-foot wide drive aisle in that parking lot. Most moving trucks are only 26 feet. You rarely get an 18-wheeler. We're certainly not going to have food delivery, so the big Cisco truck is not going to be sitting there. But even if we do have an 18-wheeler for some reason, there is plenty of room around which the residents at Ocean City Lofts can access their parking lot, and there's plenty of room for other cars to pass by safely. I don't think that it really reduces the pedestrian experience too much. That little piece of street is the street to nowhere. The only pedestrians that are going to be using that area are the people who actually live in those units, and if they want to use those front doors. Those units have rear entrances that come off the lobby. There is a central hallway between the retail and there's a central hallway between the retail areas and the residential areas, so that both retail and residential have access to that hallway. I don't know how to work this, but I'm going to try to just hold the front. Okay.
There you go.
So as you can see, this is a hallway that runs all the way through and comes right into the trash area. So that's how we're planning to have everyone access the trash. If the other thing to note is that trash area right now is the LDR is required that we close that with 2 8-foot gate doors. We're not permitted to have a roll-down door because of what it's looking at. If we had been able to use a roll-down door, then of course we would have been able to roll that down and even get a truck further back into that driveway. So when we first designed the building, the chart in the LDRs was wrong. So when we initially designed the building, we weren't reading the chart. We thought the chart said 0 spaces were needed. So the original design of the building never included the loading zone spaces because we didn't think they were required. It wasn't until after our first submission when it was pointed out to us that, oh, the chart in the chart's wrong, so you're going to have to try to go back and do it. And try as we may, there's nowhere really to get that kind of loading burst on the site unless we are going to stripe out, loading bursts in our north parking lot, which we don't think is a really great idea. It makes it very difficult for people to 90-degree park in and out. So that's why the engineering firm came up with the idea that we would utilize through rules, and it is an attended building, so through rules and close monitoring of the situation, that we would be able to use the street for loading and unloading. I mean, maximum.
You do just get 3 minutes for rebuttal, so if you just wrap it up, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure. So does anybody have any other questions about the loading and unloading? Okay, thank you.
Anything from staff?
I just want to clarify the road closure during construction is not an issue for determination today. It just, this is something that is done during the building permit. And then we took it forward and require it now during site plan application, so that we know, and you expect, and the city expect, that there will be some closure or partial road closure, even for pedestrian, during construction. And the city commission requires, if this is more than 2 weeks, that means they need to grant the approval. It's just something that we highlight, that the applicant really provided the MOT plan, which is good, and there are some partial closure, and this will happen. Regarding the loading demand, you want to make a comment?
Only
Yes.
the Scribner's errors that I heard about in the code. There's no Scribner's error. It's just an indentation of potentially the alignment of where. But it's been clear from the beginning that a loading zone is required. Just like every building in the city that's newly developed over 5,000 square feet for office building or apartments, it requires a berth. So at least one is required.
Thank you.
So, sorry, so this building is more than 20,000 square feet, residential building, so it requires 2 loading berths, while they provided 0. So we are here now, and the decision is yours with the justification that they provided and the analysis that the staff provided in the report.
Can I just interject a moment too? I think the road closure comment is just a helpful comment from staff because they submitted their MOT already, but just so you know, that's not within your purview of your findings, so don't focus on that too much.
Just know what's going to happen, but don't make a decision based on that.
Correct.
Because construction has road closure.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. Board discussion. Mr. Strawn, you want to start?
Still a little concerned about this railroad street and the loading areas. It's one thing to only need one loading area, and then you try to find some form of substitution to get around that. But when you need 2, and you're looking at using a street that is being used by, what is it, Ocean City Loss? Next to it. I know you all said that there's going to be sufficient space there, but I'm just having a hard time grappling with that, because to me, that's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of traffic in that area. I know the residents, you said, can use, the back entrance or come in through the lobby, but I don't know, it just seems like a lot to me. I'd like to hear what my other colleagues have to say about it, but when you're requiring 2, when you're trying to find a substitution for 2 loading zones, and you're using that one street that's being used by another residential building, I think that's pretty hefty ask, in my opinion.
I'm going to switch over to you now. I'm bouncing.
This is a condo association, correct? So that can be managed, can it not? I sit on a couple of other condo associations, and things like management of move-ins and move-outs and use of elevator is done primarily by hopefully a responsible board. So I don't have a problem with it.
What you got?
I know the area pretty well, I know the site, and I walk sometimes every morning down the railroad, and I look forward to this project. I have no objection.
Beautiful. Mitch?
Sure. I did have one question. I'm not sure it's staff or, this is zoned mixed use, correct? So my only question is, I know the applicant said there's no plan for a restaurant, but is there a restriction? Because if, say 10 years from now, you got a new condo association that owns the building essentially at that point, and needed, we've seen all over Delray, you start with retail and then eventually what pays the bills are restaurants. So how do we keep that from happening in the future? Because it makes sense right now. Maybe staff would tell me if that's a possibility.
So I'd like just to provide some clarification. This is a CBD, zone CBD, and then in the future, instead of the retail, let's say a restaurant would like to come, that this is a change of use, and this change of use is subject to site plan approval and parking reassessment, so we'll see it
Okay,
again.
so it would require a new update on parking. That's my
Yes.
concern. Okay. Because that would be, there's no parking for a restaurant there, and the delivery, I mean, there is going to be delivery problems. Every building, I mean, we passed that project a few weeks ago on 1st and 5th, that I even talked to a realtor that's selling the property, and she agrees, like, nobody's going to be able to get their Amazon packages. But if people want to buy and rent there and deal with that, I can't stop them from doing that. I just think, I wish that in the future, the architects would take a little more, I get you're trying to get every inch for your projects, but some of the way things are getting and the amount of deliveries people are getting at home today is nothing like it was 5 years ago, much less 10 or 20 years ago. I sit in my home office every day. I see at least 10 to 15 delivery trucks parking either my neighbor or front, coming, going constantly. I don't see them using the other lot at all. They're going to be parking either on the street there, on Railroad. As far as the concern about pedestrian, I agree there's no problem there. I mean, I've walked from just just north of this site to downtown at least a few hundred times over the last couple of years, just because I'll park at the Elks and I walk downtown or go somewhere, and never walk up Railroad. You take Second, and you go, usually to Pineapple Grove, and then walk through, kind of prettier areas. So I don't think I've ever walked that way. And like I said, I've walked through where I could have walked that way a few hundred times, never used it. So I don't see it having any effect on the pedestrian use. My concern is similar to Mr. Strong, is some of that delivery issues. But as long as there's no restaurant, I think that will help. I don't know what type of retail you're going to get there. Hopefully it's some less minimal delivery type tenants, but again, you're not going to have control of that in 20 years from now. So as long as the restaurant would have to get approval, I'm okay with the project right now.
I actually have another question. Are there any rental restrictions on this project?
We are in the process of drafting condo docs right now, so we have
Sorry, do you mind if you just come up to the microphone?
Just stay close.
Sorry, we are in the process of crafting the condo docs right now, so we have specified that there's, the only thing that we have even considered remotely would be like a contactless vending area where people could just come in and pay and grab a sandwich or do whatever, but no food preparation on site. And we'll be happy to restrict if we need to. That's not a problem.
No, I asked about rental restrictions.
Oh, rental restrictions. Right now, we're anticipating that you can rent right away, probably 2 per year max. I don't really see this as I really see this as more of a stable community. I'm a Florida licensed CAM, so I do manage condo associations, and I see this as more of a stable community. It's a great location. You can walk to everything from there. You park your car, nobody's gonna want to give that up, I think.
Okay. Our newest member, Ms. Gudbow. Is that how you pronounce it?
That is. That's so good. 2 for 2 today. Diane hit it
right too. God about it's a tough last name. First off, shout out to the beautiful decor. Like that looks great. The Art Deco. The only thing is, I think for me and running, a bar downtown, knowing that those back alleyways, as much as, we get Cisco trucks back there, and as much as we say we have space, I find myself often driving back out and then around and trying to figure it out. But my vote would go based off what city staff would want for this project, I think, is my opinion. If there was an option.
If I can just interject
Sure.
a little bit. It is more so about you're the board itself applying the standards. I think staff is always happy to provide guidance and make a recommendation, but I would just say, like, going forward and today, just focus on the standards that they've presented.
Cool.
Yeah, thank you.
So that, I guess I would go off the standards
Okay.
of what we need for that space.
Okay.
But very beautiful.
If I can just add, I forgot to mention, thank you for mentioning architecture. I've given this particular architect a little hard time about modern masonry over and over again. So I applaud you for coming up with a nice design that is not modern masonry, and see, people will buy or rent non-modern masonry units. So, and I do think also too, that change from your initial, I wasn't on the board, the initial, but that first floor change actually, to me, keeps the more of that deco look, where that original design, to me, you were kind of deviating a little bit from it. So I think you did a good job in kind of adapting the whole building, more of that clean deco, South Beach look, right?
Okay, so it's my turn. So we can't have a loading zone in the parking lot across the street? Did somebody want to answer that from, is Carter still here?
Yeah.
No, we've never had
If you could
You have to
come to
come
the
up when you're
microphone,
talking.
whoever, and say your name, please.
Oh, thank you.
So as has been discussed with the landscape waiver, the parking lot meets the minimum width to have a bi-directional access to all those parking spaces. And I know from previous projects where a loading zone has been provided in the parking area where access to certain spots would be restricted, that's a pretty much flat no from planning. So I don't, that's my
Yes, correct.
take on that.
And
The parking lot is a blivet before you put anything else in there. It's a very narrow parking lot.
Yes.
Yeah,
There's no way a truck's going in and out of that thing. That would be impossible.
Okay.
Yeah. And just to clarify, it's a code issue, not the staff. Just to clarify, in the code regulations, it does talk about locations, and those locations cannot obstruct or create confusion or conflict with other uses. So, like a parking space or a dumpster enclosure.
Mm-hmm.
So it is a code requirement that it does not obstruct any other obstacles. To
Okay.
get, yeah.
Well, I think the project's beautiful. I think I share everybody's concern with loading. I don't know how much loading there are going to be. I know you can control in a condo, but retail gets retail delivery, right? They've got to have their objects to sell. And you adjusted to that. And can I have a clarification? I just didn't understand the whole 50-foot, 25-foot right-of-way that was
I know. I probably should have said that a little bit better. Okay. So the current Railroad Street right-of-way is 25 feet total. Because it is a local street, it's required to have 50-foot wide total street. So that means that the property that is coming in with this request would have to dedicate 12.5 feet of right-of-way to make the total, to try
be
to make
25.
that total of 50 feet. So one half of the property would dedicate 12 and a half, the other half would dedicate 12 and a half to make the total 50. Because you have 25 now,
got it. Okay.
right?
Okay.
So they would have to dedicate 12 and a half. And so they went before DSMG to request the reduction of the right-of-way, and meaning essentially not to provide the dedication of 12 and a half. And so that was approved at DSMG.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, what do you guys think? Any other questions, comments? Does anyone want to make a motion?
I move to recommend to the City Commission approval of a Level 4 site plan application, including architectural elevations and a landscape plan to construct 45,247 square foot mixed-use building known as the Maxwell. Included a landscape waiver to the 5-foot perimeter landscape strip and a determination of adequacy for off-street loading requirement associated with the development located at 306 Northeast 2nd Street, finding that the request is consistent with the land development regulations and the comprehensive plan.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Call the roll, please.
Judy Malika,
Yes?
Mitch Katz,
Yes.
Deidre Strawn,
Yes.
Christina Godbout,
Yes.
Chris Brown,
Yes.
Jeffrey Beisselman,
Yes.
Gregory Snyder's absent.
Okay, thank you, guys.
Good luck.
Okay.
The tougher people are next, you go to, not us.
What did you say?
The tougher group they go to next.
Okay. Okay, agenda item B, 398 Northeast 6th Avenue Development.
Ex parte.
Okay, is there any ex parte on this?
Just drive by. Sorry.
None from me? None? Okay.
None for me.
Chris, any ex parte? No. Okay, all right.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, thank you.
Staff, could you enter the project file into the record first?
Yes, thank you. Alexia Howell, Senior Planner. I'd like to enter file number 2025-082 for architectural design style Art Deco at 398 Northeast 6th Avenue, and the applicant is here today to present.
Good afternoon. My name is Aleli de la Vega. I am Senior Project Manager with REG Architects, representing 398 Northeast 6th Avenue Development. I am also here privileged to represent our client, which is Delray 6th Avenue Realty, in this mixed-use development. Okay. So this is the location of this development site. It's currently in the Central Business District. We are proposing the design to be in the Art Deco style, and wanted to point out that in the surrounding context there are already examples of this style as well. Art Deco influences resonate with the community aesthetic. Historical models such as this serve to reinforce the urban fabric and contribute to the revitalization of districts such as this one in a very iconic manner. The proposed site plan is a 4-story structure encompassing 8 condominiums ranging in size from 1,500 to 2,000 square feet. It also has approximately 1,000 square feet of retail and 20 parking spaces. The front of the entrance to the building is in the corner through the lobby, designated in blue. The pink is in retail, and the parking, you enter the parking through the alley in the back. Stated here are the CBD's defining characteristics of Art Deco style for Delray Beach. Just on a personal note, this style is near and dear to me. I'm born and raised in Miami and studied its architectural style. I'm very familiar with it. Listed here are all the elements that we have applied from your standards into our building as well. The first one being the flat roofs with concealing ornamental parapets. This idea has been integrated throughout the entire building. The flat roof is concealed by the parapet, which hides the mechanical equipment and also has a rooftop terrace above. The rooftop deck, I will elaborate further going forward. Emblematic of Art Deco design are the use of finials. This finial rises like a wave, which is very descriptive of Florida's coastal culture. This Art Deco element is finished with smooth stucco and soft pastel colors, and it emphasizes the verticality and elegance while reflecting the ocean's nearby flow. The finial also adds vertical contrast to the building's largely horizontal massing. It really would be a distinctive feature of the building. Another distinctive element are the cantilevered eyebrows. This is a design element that is used throughout the design of the facades. It also will allow for providing shade to the inside of the interior spaces as well. Another element that we've taken the opportunity to embody into the design is the ornamental metal, the use of ornamental metals. We took this opportunity to use it for the railings, and that also serves to reinforce the horizontality of the building. Next in the design elements are the emphasis on the main entrance, which is a key element to the ground floor plane. It is distinguished by a raised and recessed platform that also includes the use of glass block. It is also, once again, the same elements are used along the tenant entrance at the retail level on the east elevation as well. We've also incorporated the use of abstract figures and geometries in the building, which are consistent with Art Deco, with the use of porthole windows, and that circular element is also incorporated in the circular cutouts on the rooftops and in the balconies as well. We also took the opportunity to incorporate a zigzag motif, which is also a recurrent element in Art Deco design, and those would occur above all the windows. Further reinforcing the curvilinear and horizontal aspects of the building are the curved building edges, and also in the finial, which is the circular element is repeated as well. As you can see there on the rooftop deck, you'll have the amenities, which are a pool with lounge areas and entertainment areas as well. So, in summary, this proposed mixed-use building stands as a thoughtful tribute to Delray Beach's rich architectural heritage, while addressing the demands of contemporary urban living. By thoughtfully integrating key Art Deco elements, the design remains faithful to the Delray Beach architectural design guidelines and contributes meaningfully to the city's visual and cultural identity. We believe this project will serve as a vibrant and lasting addition to the community, offering a harmonious blend of residential and commercial spaces that reflect and enhance the unique character of Delray Beach. Appreciate your time and consideration and look forward to your comments.
Thank you.
Okay. Good evening, board members again. Alexia Howard, Senior Planner. Before you is a level 3 site plan that is requesting the utilization of the Art Deco style at 398 Northeast 6th Avenue. And so the property is located within the CBD Central Core Zoning District. And the existing building is a commercial building developed in 1946, proposed to be demolished with the level 3 site plan application. And the request is the Art Deco style. So for contextual analysis, we have the CVS to the north, and across the street we have the auto store parts / auto repair. And then to the south we have a single-story office building, and to the west is a alley with a smaller type development. Commercial to the west. And so here we have the CBD architectural design guidelines as the profilation of the Masonry Modern and the Art Deco style coming in. City Commission would like to see these type of styles before it goes forward. And so we are here today to ensure the Art Deco style can be utilized. And this is a level 3 site plan, which is being reviewed by PZB for recommendation to City Commission. for the architectural style, but the site plan itself will go through that same route when it gets, if the architectural style is approved today, the site plan will go through PZB for recommendation to City Commission. No. Oh, I'm sorry, just PZB for final action, not City Commission. Wrong. Sorry about that. Yeah, that's correct. And so here we have an exhibit from the Architectural Design Guidelines, which features the famous Colony Hotel in Miami, which is utilizing the South Florida Art Deco style, which features the flat roof concealed by ornamental masonry parapet. We have a smooth stucco finish. We have the vertical signage integrated with the building, and we have the cantilevered eyebrows with metal frame windows located at the corners with simple geometric stucco reliefs and horizontal streamline ornaments, as well as a masonry stoop entrance at the front with a covered structure above and glass openings. And here we have some examples of Art Deco style, which is the South Florida Miami Art Deco. To the left above is from Miami. Here we have the Colony Hotel. And so these are the primary examples of the South Florida Art Deco style that the city would like to see executed in the architectural design guidelines. Here are some examples of approved Art Deco style. One of them is the Maxwell, which you heard today. We also have a more streamlined, modern Art Deco style, which is the Boyd Building. It's just before the bridge. And we also have the Flossie Building on Federal Highway. So here's the proposed design. We have a beautiful rendering that shows the prominent corner accentuated with the round corners at the corner of the parcel with the cantilevered eyebrows. We have this beautiful vertical element featured here as well. I'd like to note that this vertical feature, it is encroaching into the required 20-foot front setback above the third story. And so the LDR requires that an additional setback be applied for the portions of the building extending above the third story. However, encroachments that are utilized or incorporated as part of the architectural design elements, such as a tower element, can encroach, may encroach into the setback granted by the approving body. Here we have a rendering of the north elevation, highlighting the base, middle, and top. And overall, the Art Deco style beautifully executes the CBD guidelines, the horizontal streamline ornaments with nautical elements such as the portholes, and the metal railings, as well as the vertical elements in the curved corners really highlight the composition of the building. And let me see. And staff would like to highlight the south elevation, which is the rendering to the top of that. There are some missing elements that are incorporated on that elevation for the Art Deco, so we would like to see some continuation of those Art Deco elements to continue on that south elevation. As you drive north on Federal Highway, it is visible, so we would like to see more architectural elements highlighted on the south facade. Other than that, it is beautifully executed, and there are no concerns as to the execution of the Art Deco style except for the south elevation and whether or not this style is appropriate to the site and in relation to the context of the overall location. And that concludes my presentation.
Okay, is there any comments from the public? Public comments? Any rebuttal or cross-examination from anyone? Okay, goes to us then. Chris, I know you love this. What do you say?
You're talking to me?
Yep.
Gonna give us a Harvard lecture on
We want to hear it.
Art Deco?
It'll be Yale.
Or Yale, sorry.
Compliments to the architect. I think you did an excellent job in your design. It's a fine, it's not overdone and it's not underdone. It's really well done. Thank you. So I'm in favor of this.
I know, I thought so. Yeah.
Just a question. I want to be clear. We're just voting on the style, right? Not because I had the same questions about, or the same concerns about that south elevation. Didn't seem to kind of go with.
That is pretty side.
Is that the southeast
Yes.
corner?
Southwest and southeast, here.
But just to answer, you are just
trying to
making a
think of where on the street
recommendation
it is.
on the use of the style.
Right. Okay.
think of
So
what-
as long as that's the case, then I don't have a problem with it.
Because I don't. Yeah, I guess you'd see it from Federal, right? That south, sort of, because it's kind of on the. It's only on the northbound side, right, of the street.
Correct.
Right. So the southbound side of the street, you're still gonna have businesses on that side, right? Or is it
It's
go the whole
Federal
block?
Highway, so there's no southbound. There's only northbound.
Isn't this where the Federals? Isn't,
Yeah, Federal.
yeah, on both Federals. And this is on 4th Street, right?
This is on Sixth
Sixth Avenue.
Avenues heading north on the
Right.
yeah
And 4th Street.
and 4th Street.
Yeah,
yes.
that's what I mean.
Oh yes.
So
Heading
the 6th
east.
Avenue is the northbound Federal, the 5th Avenue is southbound Federal.
The fourth.
This is
Oh yes.
It's
I'm
where
sorry,
the
fifth-
Federals
yes.
are split. There's
Yeah,
two
yeah,
different.
yeah.
Right.
One's
Yeah.
northbound. I'm like, I'd go there every day. I know you're
Yeah,
making me
yeah.
think I'm losing it here.
But there's a property. There's a property adjacent to that.
Walgreens is
Right. So that's what I'm showing the blue spot. So right, it's across from Walgreens. What I'm saying is, on 5th, which is southbound Federal. I call it southbound Federal, northbound Federal, because that's how you know which way you're going. But that's where on that side, they're gonna be another building that's gonna block that eventually. Right now, it's still a 1-story building, but they put in a 4-story, the next guy's gonna put in a 4-story. So I'm not too concerned about that. Again, thank you for something besides modern masonry. I gotta applaud that. They did do a great job with that aspect as well. I agree with your Mr. Brown's comments on the style. This actually looks more true to the Art Deco than the last project we saw. It absolutely meets that. It looks like you're on 1950s South Beach, and it is that straight, and that's why I say that 4th. It's almost like it's the gateway to the rest of Delray Beach. So you have that everybody east, and then all of us that live west of Swinton, anywhere outgoing, kind of we all come from Federal and make that turn. So it is a major intersection. It's a lot of people are going, whether it's the southwest, northwest communities, whether it's my communities out west, whether it's Lake Ida. I think a lot of people are going to see this, so I think it's important. I will say, when you come back I'm going to have traffic flow, parking, loading. Think about all those things before you come back. We're only voting on the style. I think the style looks good, but it's got to be parkable, it's got to be loadable, and all that stuff when you come back and see us in a few months.
Okay, Ms. Godbout, what you got?
Really pretty addition to that area. The Walgreens is gonna have to step its game up once that goes up.
Well, there was a proposal to redo that Publix Plaza with condos and something years ago.
Oh.
I don't know what ever happened to that. That was a long time ago that it was floated out there and nothing ever happened.
No, looks great.
Gonna eat. Mr. Miser.
Looks good.
All right, I have to think it's absolutely beautiful and agree that it's like we have a pretty side and then a not so pretty side. So if we can make the southwest and southeast as pretty as the northeast and the northwest corner, it would be lovely, lovely addition. So is
I
there
recommend approval to allow the use of an Art Deco architectural style pursuant to LDR 4.413 F3E. Appropriate architectural styles for the development located at 398 Northeast 6th Avenue by finding that the request is consistent with the comprehensive plan and meets criteria set forth in the land development regulations.
Okay, is there a
Second.
Okay, we have a second from Mr. Strawn. Can we take the roll, please?
Judy Malika,
Yes.
Mitch Katz?
Yes.
Deidre Strong?
Yes.
Christina Godbout?
Yes.
Chris Brown?
Yes.
Jeffrey Meiselman?
Yes.
Gregory Snyder absent.
Okay. Looks like everybody's on board for item
luck.
B, 398 Northeast
We'll see you in the next
6th. Good luck.
phase.
Okay. Thank you very much. So, oh, sure, does staff have any comments for us? Okay, yeah, think about it. Any comments from the board?
I'll make a comment. We'll just welcome Miss Godbout. Just a reminder for everyone, since we have someone new, but I just figured it's good for everyone. And you might already know about the sunshine rules, Miss Godbout, but I just wanted to remind everyone about them since it's always helpful. Sorry, excuse me. So with the sunshine rules, basically the most important thing you need to know is that any conversations that you're having with the board members on topics should always be happening like on the dais, on the record. So that means, you know, after the board meetings, you know, we don't discuss what, you know, we previously saw. If there's a project that's coming up, like we don't discuss it, you know, in email and text message, on the phone, like anything. So any discussion on projects should really just be happening with staff or myself. So you can always feel free to reach out, and that goes for everyone obviously, and ask questions if you know, have questions on the staff reports, on the agenda. But just a reminder that, you know, because of the sunshine rules, we shouldn't really be having any conversations on any potential projects or potential
With each
agenda
other.
items.
But we can have, with the community, we can
Yes.
have conversations with the applicant.
Correct. Just as a board, any conversations as a board, whether it's just one or two people, it should just be happening here.
Thank you for that reminder. Anybody else have anything? Okay, then we're adjourned. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm right up the street at Cigarette.
Hey, I have a question. Can we ever get the PowerPoints like here so we can see them?
Oh, that's a good question. I would ask